Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our first thoughts and predictions on Yellowstone Season 3. We are a matter of a couple weeks away now from the show coming back on the Paramount Network, and it is a dramatic, intense, thoroughly messy show at times. We are coming off of a violent mess of a second season that included plenty of deaths, a little bit of romance, and the end of yet another character played by Neil McDonough who is just like dramatically evil, which I appreciate.
Yeah, season 2, the last half of that season was really dark. It took us on a very, very dark, intense ride. But I mean, this whole show has that feel to it. So I'm expecting more of that, hoping for more of that for season 3.
Before we dive in, though, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. We're going to have a lot of Yellowstone coverage coming your way.
So the main thing that I'm invested in this show is Beth and Rip. I mean, I really like the back and forth that's gone on between them. It's been going on since they were kids, since he first came to the ranch. We saw a really big shift in their relationship at the end of season 2, where all that horrible stuff happened to Beth and he told her that he loved her. And looking at the trailer going into season 3, it looks like there's going to be still a lot more of that back and forth between them. It feels like their relationship has kind of finally moved into something that's not necessarily a committed relationship, but they have a bond that is unbreakable, and it's really moved them into that next level.
I really want to see the two of them together the whole season. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would like to actually see Beth in a committed relationship with someone like Rip and vice versa, because both of them are kind of just sort of stranded out on their own in a lot of ways psychologically, where they don't exactly have a lot of people they can turn to. They don't exactly have a lot of just constants within their life. Yes, Beth is surrounded by family, but can you really lean on Jamie? Like, that guy is a mess.
Yeah, these two understand each other on a level that nobody else does, not even her family. So I would really like to see that connection strengthen going forward.
I think there's at least a good chance of that, and I think having a little bit of unity there with the two of them is probably going to be useful given the presence of new things that are sort of swirling around out there, because if you did not know, Lost alum Josh Holloway is coming on board as Roarke, which I will probably never say correctly because I just can't pronounce it well.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit nervous about that, not just because of the threat that he's going to be bringing into the entire Dutton family, but there is a small moment in that trailer where it kind of looks like maybe something might be happening between him and Beth. Maybe. And I really hope that that is not where this is going. I feel like we've already been through a lot of this with Beth and sort of just not caring and all of that. I just would like to see with Rip just this one thing that gives her a little bit of stability.
It would be nice. It would certainly be nice for her to not gravitate over towards a guy who kind of looks like the big bad. He's some sort of wealthy hedge fund guy. He already has some sort of roots within the region already. He really feels a lot like Yellowstone version of Sawyer, so I understand why you want Josh Holloway there. He seems very charming and manipulative.
I'm really excited about him coming to the show. I'm a huge Lost fan. I really like him. I think he's going to be a really good addition to the show.
I kind of feel like, to a certain extent, the opportunity to get people on Yellowstone is probably easier than some other shows, just because you're sort of like, do you want to work with Kevin Costner? And I feel like the answer was just like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go do that.
Yeah, my thing is, though, is that I'm really hoping that, we had Dan over a couple seasons, and he just wasn't really strong enough as a villain. I thought he was going to kind of be a lot stronger than he was. And then they brought in the Beck brothers, like, right at the end, and I was kind of like, where were these guys all season? Like, these guys are really terrifying. Yeah. So I'm hoping that this new character that Josh is going to be coming in and playing is going to be sort of a bigger, better version of what I hoped Dan was going to be.
What I think makes the Yellowstone adversary so good is that they all have layers of, I believe what I'm doing is right, and I kind of think you need that, where you look at the entire show, there's not really a lot of just like pure blood heroes here, where, you know, the Dutton family, they're killing people. We've seen what the Beck brothers did, and it was horrific, and ultimately, you know, Thomas Rainwater, that character, who I think is an incredible character.
Oh, so good.
Like, he has also a lot of just, like, nuanced machinations, and he wants vengeance and a lot of these other things. He's not exactly, you know, sporting a cape and running around saving the day either.
Yeah, that's why I think this show works as well as it does, because no one is a straight up villain, really. No one is a straight up hero either. Everybody's flawed. It reminds me a lot of The Expanse, for any of you out there who've watched that show. It's the same sort of feeling with these characters, where they feel like they are doing right, and they are doing right for their family. They are doing right for themselves. They are doing the right thing, even if it's murdering somebody. They feel like they are moving things in the correct direction. And that's why I think this show really is as successful as it is when it comes to their stories and their characters.
I think the interesting thing with John Dutton himself is some of the moments we had at the end of season 2. And I think Costner's one of his best performances on the show is at the end of this season, where you sort of get this conversation and this idea of legacy, and the entire sort of world that he's known is starting to fall apart. And I don't think this is a theme they can hit home too much, but I do think on season 3 you have to explore a little bit more of what does being John Dutton actually mean, and what does he hold value in, because it seems like he's having an identity crisis in some form, and I think he's got to figure out how to resolve that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is coming from the fact that he has all these children, and none of these children really want to continue on with this ranch. I mean, Casey really wants to go off with Monica and sort of have a more simple life with his son. And Jamie originally wanted to do this, and then John sent him off to Harvard and completely changed his life for the worse. So this is not really where he lands anymore. And Beth doesn't want this place. So when we saw at the end where he ended up giving Rip a part of the land and his own cabin on the land, it's sort of like, who really is going to take care of this place when he's gone? So I think for John, it's really, really difficult. And one of the reasons why he is kind of focusing in on Tate a little bit more in the season 2 finale and in that whole last season, where it's like, okay, if my kids don't want this place, now my grandson is like, I want to be a cowboy. All right, perfect. And, now I'm going to put all of this into Tate, and I can hand it down to this generation at least.
I really want to see that thread continue, because it is one of those sort of things where, when you're a kid, a lot of the time, I feel like it's so much about, oh, I get to be a cowboy, this is fun, this is exciting. And then when you get a little bit older, you're starting to be like, okay, do I really want to be a cowboy now that I realize how much work it is? And, at this point, all Tate is doing is it's caring for a horse. That's got to expand outward. And I think sort of seeing that evolution in itself could be interesting, because it's not exactly like Tate is surrounded by the most positive of influences all around him.
Yeah, and it looks like from the trailer we're not going to have a major time jump. Some of Beth's bruises and scars and stuff that she had gotten from what happened are still going to be there. So it looks like the next threat is going to come in quite quickly. Tate is still going to have a shaved head from what happened to him. And I'm glad for this, because the Jamie storyline, the Jamie of it all, this character is so fascinating. Every time I see him doing something and getting ahead of himself and tripping on himself, this guy cannot make the right decision to save his life. Nothing he does is working out for him. He will always pick the wrong road. So to see him then in season 2 near the end finally be like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to kind of where I started before I was sent off to Harvard to be a lawyer, of what I actually wanted to do. I just wanted to work the ranch. I wanted to be part of the ranch, and this is what I'm doing. There's a lot of like sort of this push and pull back and forth in this trailer of him trying to find redemption, something that he may never be able to find, or at least just some sort of peace inside himself.
I think it's going to be really, really difficult. I'm going to make a prediction here. I don't think Jamie survives this series. I think Jamie goes at some point. I don't know if it's in season 3, maybe it's season 4, but I just feel like he's either going to get in over his head, or it just seems like the idea of taking a life, it hit Jamie in a different way, I think, than it hit some other characters, because we've seen plenty of other characters murder on this show. I don't know where Jamie's story ends in a positive way, but don't get me wrong, he is insanely fascinating to watch. He stands out because he is so different from everyone else, but he also just seems to have this like moral compass that's just like all over the place all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Beth basically said it best, that his whole life is based on trying to figure out what other people think of him and care about what other people think of him. And depending on who happens to be in front of him at that time, that's the person he cares about what they think of him. And because of that, he doesn't have any direction. He is a rudderless boat. He doesn't know. And he's very easily influenced. And that's a terrible position for anyone to be in, but it is extra terrible for the Duttons because they are a very influential family that have a lot of dark secrets. And to have someone like Jamie out there that is this easily influenced of which way the wind is blowing that day, that is going to end up always being a problem for this family.
The last thing that I have to say here is, can we just get less of the Casey and Monica, like, internal, is this relationship going to work or not? Because I feel like I've had enough of it. I'm just like, okay, if you guys are going to be together, just be together for a while. I don't know if I can take the emotional hand-wringing again for another season.
No, I don't want to see that. I didn't even want to see it last season, where she was kind of with her swim instructor that was helping her with her physio. I was just like, why is this story even going here? They felt like they didn't really know what to do with her, so they kind of stuck her on this one-time affair thing, and it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. There is a lot that they can do with this Monica character. She is someone who is married into this family that is very different than this family, and this is a beautiful way to show us, all of us that are not part of this family, that wouldn't understand this family. We can all see this through her eyes.
Mm-hmm. I hope they do more with her. I think there's a lot of potential here. There seems like there's going to be other new characters, interesting stuff to explore. And we are looking forward to doing it with you guys very, very soon. But for now, what do you guys want to see on Yellowstone Season 3? Give us your early thoughts and predictions in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.